Hello YouTube, my name's Miss Murphy. Welcome to my art channel. On this channel, I'm going to be teaching you art classes to help you out with your work at school, or alternatively, this channel can be for art teachers to get some inspiration for lesson ideas, for projects, or parents at home when the children are a little bit bored and looking for things to do. I've been teaching for 14 years now, been an art teacher for that long. So today I'm going to show you how you can make a beautiful collage bird inspired by the fantastic artist Cleo Mussi. So here is exactly what you will need for today. You'll need a basic outline drawing of a bird, preferably on some sort of card. You'll need some scissors. You'll need some pattern papers. Now these could be sweet wrappers, these could be anything you have at home, it could be cereal boxes, magazines, anything. PVA glue, or you could use a glue stick. I'm going to use paintbrushes to apply my PVA glue before I stick it down. So that is exactly what you need today. And this is exactly what we will be making our Cleo Mussi collage inspired birds. And here's another one. Now, these have been laminated because they look really good laminated. You can hang them up later, or they don't need to be. Okay, let's get ready to start. Okay, so to start with, every single artist that has ever been, past, present, has always taken inspiration from someone else. Now that could be a culture, it could be another artist, or anything what gives them that sense of creativity. Okay, so Cleo Mussi is an artist who, as I've mentioned, she is a mosaic artist. Here's some of her work here, okay? So she likes to incorporate a lot of heart in her work, faces, animals, hands, things to do with nature, and birds and skulls. Okay. There's some more images of her work as well. Okay. So Cleo Mussi is an artist. She's a big advocate for recycling of materials. Now, a lot of artists do that. They'll recycle what they've got at home. So they practice sustainability. So she uses reclaimed ceramics. Now, ceramics are things you find at home in your cupboard. So your cups, your plates, your jugs. So she finds these old items, the old ceramics. Ceramics are clay hardened by heat. They're clay hardened by heat. That means that they are hardened at a high temperature, put inside a kiln. A kiln is like a hot oven for clay. Okay, so these old ceramics, what she's using in her artwork, she's cutting them up, she's breaking them up into tiny small pieces, and then she is assembling them down. Okay, she's practicing the art of assemblage. Now, assemblage art is placing things down, what you've already got, a set of materials, what you already have, and then arranging them in a certain way. So she's recycling the materials. She's using reclaimed ceramics. Ceramics are clay hardened by heat. And she's making these beautiful mosaics. Okay, beautiful mosaics. Mosaics have been around hundreds and hundreds of years. First starting in a place called Mesopotamia near modern day Iraq. But you can't say that word. Mesopotamia. That's how we break it down. Okay, so what we're doing is we are making a collage to resemble that of mosaics. Now, I've done this topic for a good few years now with my students, and in fact, one of my colleague students done this. last month, okay? So, and the students tend to love it, okay? But there's things what we need to consider when we're doing a collage, okay? So I'm just going to get straight into it straight away, okay? So when we're creating a collage, we must always think of the composition. Now, the composition to an art piece is the layout and structure. Because if we don't consider the composition an art piece, we will have tons of empty space, okay? Empty space, and we don't want that, okay? That's like me going to an art gallery and me saying, okay, oh, I've seen this beautiful painting on the wall and oh, I love that, yeah? But then I'm thinking, I like it, but why is the portrait of the person drawn here, small in the corner, and then all of this part is empty? That won't look too good on the wall, okay? Because that artist hasn't considered the composition of the artwork. They haven't considered the layout and structure to the piece of art. Now, when we're considering composition, we are going to have a more aesthetically pleasing piece of artwork. So we need to think about where we are laying down our collage pieces, okay? Because we don't want tons of empty space, okay? And we can also call that negative space, okay? Empty space, negative space, that's how you remember. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to put a love heart straight away in the center of my bird, okay? So I've got the glue, I'm using the brush, okay? Now I don't want to put glue all over this bird because later I'm going to work over with a black pen and practice refinement. Now refinement is the process of taking a piece of artwork and making it look better, okay? But we're going to come to that at the end. So I'm applying the glue. I don't want it too thick, okay? Not too thick. And that heart is going right in the center of my Cleo Mussi inspired bird, okay? But before I lay any more down, I'm going to show you how you can cut out a perfect heart, okay? So you fold up a piece of paper and you make it even both sides, okay? You make it even both sides. And then you cut it in a point and you come round on yourself back down. So it looks a little bit like a teardrop, okay? So watch me carefully now. So I cut as a point, okay? I curve it round. I come all the way around and I come back on myself like so. And it looks a little bit like a teardrop, okay? Then when I open it up, I have a perfect symmetrical heart. Both sides, okay? Yeah, now that's a bit too big to go on there, but you get the idea now. Okay, so let's crack on now. Now, when you're cutting out your collage needs to be nice and small, okay? I used to say to my students that if your collage is nice and small and intricate, that word intricate meaning small, detailed, complicated, it's going to look better. Because if I stick 5 big giant pieces of paper on there, that's not going to look good. But if I cut out my collage nice and small, it's going to look much better, okay? So, I'm going to continue to just add these collage pieces on now. Okay, all the way around, okay? So I'm going to put the lighter blue around, okay, all the way. Now that word collage comes from 17th century France, and collage just means to glue. Collage means to glue. That's all it means. Now a collage is sticking various bits of paper, various bits of, could be little bits of fabric, little bits of, well, photographs. You can stick them down too, okay? And that's what a collage is, sticking various material onto another backing or surface, okay? Now, when I talked about composition and your pieces of collage being intricate, we want them nice and small. We don't want big giant gaps around, okay? We want them looking good, okay? But we have to have gaps around because we want it to look like a mosaic. And a mosaic has always got gaps around. Always. Okay. Always has gaps around. If you think of your bathroom tiles at home, yeah, you think of your bathroom tiles. Well, what's in between them? A little material called grout, okay? Now that grout holds the tiles in place, and a mosaic is the same. So it has grout in between. So it wouldn't make sense to leave no gaps around. We want our bed to look like a mosaic, okay? So I had lovely other bits of pattern paper, so little bits of pattern paper, yeah, with little robins on. So I've cut some robins out and I'm going to stick them on as well. You could do this with letters or anything, out to newspapers or magazines. So I'm going to put one bird there and another bird here, this side. Okay. Yeah. Now, if I wanted to cut circles out for my collage, I could be using a hole puncher. Perfect circles with a hole puncher. Okay. Just gluing down. Yeah. Putting them wherever I see fit. Yeah. I'm not thinking too hard. All I need to be considering really is the composition. Yeah. The composition. Does the composition look good? Have I got any negative space, which means empty space? If I haven't, I'm good to go. Okay. Now, collage is always good as well because, sometimes we have students who, say, oh, miss, I don't like art, or I'm not good at art. And that's probably like a lot of the time because they haven't tried different types of art. You know, you could be amazing at collage, like literally you could be sick at collage, yeah. But then when it comes to drawing faces, they look awful, yeah. So it just depends what type of artist you are, and everybody has their niche. Like when I talk about a niche, I talk about what you're good at art, and you'd only sort of get to know that when you are a little bit older. So I'm going to stop it there and then I'm going to pick back up in a minute. Okay, so I am back and my collage is finished now, okay? And here it is. There is my Cleo Mussi inspired bird collage, okay? Now these collages will look really cute, as bunting. You could make one and then you could photocopy them. You could have them bunting in your bedroom along, that might be nice. Little hole punch at the top, a little bit of string to form the bunting, or you could make it into like a birthday card. You could write on the back and make your own little envelope for someone, or they can just, they can just sit in places and just look really cute. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Now, I was going to practice refinement. I didn't mention that. Now, when I talk about refinement, I'm talking about you've got a finished piece of artwork and it looks good, but you can make it better. Okay. And sometimes by adding extra details, by adding more tone, working up colour pencils, working up paints, adding black pen details, bit of mark making can improve our artwork, and that's what refinement is. Now, I decided I didn't want a refinement on this today, but I did do refinement on this bird, okay? There's some black pen marks, some little marks around here. And this student done some little bit of refinement too, so little dots, little bits of like stitch marks around. So that's entirely up to you how you want your bird to look. But I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and let's just have a little recap on what we've learned, okay? We've learned the importance of what a collage is. Now, collage, that word comes from 17th century France, and that means to glue. Then we talked about composition. Now, composition is the layout and the structure to a piece of artwork, very important. We spoke about negative space. Negative space means empty space. That is something you never want when you are creating a collage, negative space. And then we also talked about the importance of making your collage small and intricate. Yeah, small, intricate, detailed pieces of collage. It's no good sticking 5 pieces of collage on there and it looking rubbish. Okay, so that's what we learned today. And we also learned that Cleo Mussi is a mosaic artist and she practices sustainability in her artwork, and she uses reclaimed ceramics, and ceramics are cups, plates, pots and things, yeah, made from clay hardened by heat, put in a heat oven called a kiln, yeah, and she recycles all of her materials, okay? So I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson. I will see you again very soon. Make sure you subscribe and check in, guys, okay? Thank you for joining me today. Speak to you soon. Bye.